Greetings from the Military History Festival. My name is Paula Martins and I am with
Samantha McLaughlin.
And we are dressed in very vastly different time periods. I am in a colonial 18th century, just a kind of a working woman's impression. I've got on a striped petticoat, a striped apron, and a Indian print cotton, what would this be, just a short gown. And Samantha here is in an ensemble from the 1920s. Yes. So Samantha, why don't you tell everybody about your outfit?
This dress is an original late 20s, early 30s with beautiful embroidery. I've got my very Clairbeau hairstyle today, and I'm showing my ankles in comparison. You know, it's very shocking.
We're both exposing some ankle here.
But I've got the rolled garters on. And if I really wanted to be daring, I could roll them down below my knee, show off the naughty knees. And I'm doing a talk on 1920s undergarments tomorrow, and how to achieve that look using modern alternatives.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we should also mention that tomorrow at the festival, Samantha here is coordinating the fashion show, and I will be the MC for it. So please come out and watch. Yes. Anything you'd like to say about the fashion show?
Come show off your best impression, because we want to see it.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Dave Fornell with the World War I Reenactors here at Military History Fest, and we've reconstructed a World War I trench for the 100th anniversary of 1914 to 2014. We have a representation of what an average trench would look like. We have a 30 caliber 1917 machine gun that's down here in our machine gun position. We have a sampling of some World War I rifles, French, German, and American. We have equipment displays and personal effects for British and German scattered throughout the trench. And then we tried to build a bunker that would be pretty typical. This is more of a size of a communication trench over here, but this is usually the height of a normal trench, which would be about 7 to 8 feet high, where you'd have firing steps where you'd be able to get up onto the trench to fire over the parapet. The inside of the bunker, which they would have bunkers for all of the units in case they came under artillery barrages so they weren't out in the open and they had a better survival rate, is a room like this. This would have been about 30 to 40 feet below ground, and this is pretty typical of a trench that would have been for about 10 men with personal effects from a German unit. So this bunker is pretty typical of what you would have seen in World War I. This would have been 30 to 40 feet below ground and was designed to have about 10 men sleep inside. This is actually taller than most. Most of them only would have been about 4 feet tall. And this has personal effects. This has bunks that are built inside, and it is trying to make it look very lived in. We do have our rats. No trench is complete without a rat. And we also have mice in here too, which are rampant in all of the trenches in World War I, in addition to the lice that would have been inside your uniforms. The bunks that we have set up would have been used in rotation with the guys that were serving in the front lines. So this is the back side of our trench. We have our World War I hospital wagon. We have 2 horses that are outfitted for Ulan cavalry, which is German cavalry. We also have a collection of original hand grenades from World War I that includes several original examples of both German and Austrian types. And then we have a wounded Ulan with a gas casualty gas mask on. A lot of guys were brought up without their field gear from the front lines, and in this case you see a bag that was placed over the person's head by the medic so they wouldn't suffocate in their own vomit in case they got hit by mustard or gas. So thank you very much for visiting.
Hi, my name is Jim Fairchild. My wife Rebecca and I own Spring Valley Lodges. We're here at the Military Fest 2014. It's pretty interesting to be at the Military Fest because there are all genres of historical artifacts and characters. I'm one. We portray the 1760s in colonial America, and what we do for a living is we make tents for reenactors. We've got a small wedge tent behind us on display, but we make even the largest of tents. Some of them have been up over 100 feet long. So nothing's too big, nothing's too small. We travel around the country to all sorts of different historical events and sell our wares and get people into shelters.
Hey, this is Bicycles of World War II Europe. I've got some German military bike stuff here, and I've got some reproduction and restoration of original bikes with vintage equipment. The ideal vehicle for any reenactor for World War II because you can get anywhere, you can go through any camp. All good.
Greetings and salutations to you all. I am Captain Bruce Mayhew of Lord Roberts Regiment of Foot in the English Civil War of 1640. I am a captain of the Regiment of Pike, muskets to either our right or our left, but I command the lead detachments of pikemen with 16-foot pikes to the front, fighting off, in this case, the Covenanters, the people who are fighting against my king. I am a royalist member of a royalist regiment. The clothing and stuff you see that I wear as boots I can wear because I am in fact an officer. I am wearing the red sash of an officer and of course of the royalist side, with the other side being orange. I am wearing what is called a kippacher coat that you can see here over my breastplate because of the cold weather. And I have a whistle on my front which is used to give commands to the pike unit simply because it's much louder than I am and they are trained to react to the blast. The weapon in my left hand here is a halberd, which allows me to push the lads forward and into action if they start to falter. And of course, obviously, I can fight with it, and I am carrying a sword, and both are used both against infantry and cavalry. We are not armed with firearms, but the people to the right and left of us are armed with matchlock musket.
I'm Stefan Schellenbein. It's my wife.
Alina Schellenbein.
This is my 12th century Welsh huntsman impression. So generally, fairly simple, all wool and linen fabrics. Simple turn shoes with a under tunic and an over tunic. And yeah, normally I carry a bow or a small trident for hunting otters and the like, and that's pretty much what this is. Mm-hmm. And she's mostly doing the pregnancy thing this year.
Yes, so I'm wearing early 19th century because it is nice and high-waisted. This one is out of cotton, which a lot of them were, especially in America and England, because there's a lot of cotton coming in. And I've got my nice wool to go over all of it because it's not the warmest, but they did wear them all year long.
Hi, my name's Jeff Franzak and I'm standing here with Jeremiah Moore, and we're with the 20th Century Marine. And this year at Military History Fest 10, we chose to do the Gulf War. The theme was World War I, so we tried to get as far away from that as we could because we like to go against the grain. But what you're looking at here is a display that depicts a Kuwaiti village on the extreme outskirts of Kuwait. And the U.S. Marine Corps was moving through the area, chasing after Saddam's Republican Guard, trying to beat them to the Iraq border. We're going to put on a little presentation here to kind of give you a very small glimpse of what the U.S. Marines saw in Desert Storm. Very different type of war, stark contrast to what we did last year with the World War I gas attack. We chose this year to show a little more of the human, I guess you can call it the human side of things, the camaraderie, the friendship. We heard a lot of stories the last few days from veterans that said nobody ever talks about the good times. If there could be good times in war, I guess they would know. So we chose to go away from the horrors of war and focus more on the camaraderie, the friendship, and the bonds that are built during combat.
In your area, over.
Negative B11, we are in sector Kilo 59. No hostile, repeat, no hostile.
All right, copy that. We're going to be moving into our sector. We're going to establish contact with base so they can advise on what our next move should be. Over.
We've been trying to contact base, and for some reason they're not responding. I think their communications are down.
All right, then copy that. We'll try a different channel, and we'll contact you as soon as we know something. Over.
Roger that, B11.
All right, boys. We're going to move into sector Kilo 56, see if the Republican Guard is here. Hold on. Check out the civilian. Engineer.
Republican Guard. guard came through, shot everything up, including my car and my home. Took water, food, everything.
What about this AK-74? Theirs?
This is theirs.
Yeah? All right, boys. I want you to set up a perimeter. Private, check that alley. Franzak. Make sure that our flank is clear there. I'm going to establish contact with base. This is Oscar the Grouch, 2 Big Bird. Do you copy? Over. Their communications are shot. This is Oscar the Grouch to Big Bird. Do you copy? Over. We are at the designated coordinates. There are no hostiles. I say again, there are no hostiles. Over. We are in sector Kilo 5-6, over. There is no sign of the Republican Guard in this sector. I say again, no sign of the Republican Guard. It looks like they're retreating fast. The area shot up a bit, but no casualties, civilian or military. Only presence that they were here is we have a discarded AK-74, a civilian that has reported that they are moving towards what appears to be the Kuwaiti airport, maybe. Please advise. Over. All right, base is contacting another patrol in our area. It might be Delta 5-3. They're going to advise on their location and what we should do. Keep our sides covered, boys. Oscar the Grouch, this is Big Bird. Do you copy? Over. Is there another patrol in our area? Do you copy? Over.
That's correct, Oscar the Grouch. This patrol in sector Kilo 5-9.
It's Delta.
There is also vacant hospital standby.
Their area is vacant. It's been confirmed. This is Oscar the Grouch. Go ahead, Big Bird.
Be advised, we remain in sector Kilo 5-6 until contacted by Delta 5-3. Do you copy?
Wilco Big Bird, Bravo 1-1 will remain in sector Kilo 5-6 until we are reached. Over.
Roger that. Over and out.
All right, boys. Delta 5-6 is going to be moving into our area. But you know what? It's completely devoid of enemies. May take a little bit of a breather. Hey, Franzak. Yeah. Your dad served in Nam, right?
Yeah.
You showed me that picture of him up on the Jeep with his M60, right?
Yeah.
All right, get up there. I want a picture. Hey, Private. You got enough batteries for that Game Boy there? What's in it? Tetris. All right. I want you to look gung-ho. Come on.
How do I look?
You look fantastic. Knock, knock, Kuwait. Absolutely fantastic. Hey, can you get that mounted gun up on the roll bar? Excuse me, I hope it's all right that we're using your Jeep here. We want to send a couple of photos back to the wife and kids. Hey, what the hell are you doing? Sergeant, are you Delta 5-3?
B11?
Yes, sir.
Delta 5-3, you hear that incoming artillery?
Absolutely.
Kuwaiti airport, that's where we're headed. Let's go, gear up.
All right, boys, Bravo, B11, we're going to move out. Kuwaiti airport, let's go. Cover your sides. Well, that's the end of our little Gulf War presentation there. As you can see, one of the things, again, we wanted to portray was that in the Gulf War there was a lot of walking, there was a lot of communication, there was not too much action that the Marine Corps had to face once they actually invaded Kuwait. The Republican Guard retreated, and the biggest fighting for the Marine Corps happened over at the Kuwaiti airport. But what did Marines do in between there? They had a little downtime. They did things that the regular average Joe probably would have done. Taking pictures for their wife and kids back home, or pulling out one of their Game Boys because there's just nothing else to do. War isn't always fighting. There's a lot of checking, there's a lot of waiting, and there's a lot of bonding.
Hi, my name is Chuck Young. I represent the Napoleonic Coalition. What you see here before you is a guillotine. Pretty horrifying. Actually, it was considered a more humane way of execution than hanging, dismembering, or running over by a wheel. The guillotine was invented by a doctor to amputate limbs in the early part of the 18th century. By the end of the 18th century, it was used as a method of punishment for the government. By 1793, the Reign of Terror was in full swing, and they were cutting off a lot of heads. Estimates are upwards of 250,000. I think that's a little high, because there's only documentation for 25,000 in the city of Paris, and the outlying areas another 40. Now, the way the guillotine works is with the weight of the blade pulling itself down to sever the head. The last execution by guillotine was in 1973, and the prisoner was literally interviewed by a doctor afterwards. He slapped him and he responded. The severed head responded. Some people say that's because the head lives on after once it's separated from the body, but I think since then we've come to find out is if you don't have oxygen in the blood, your brain doesn't work. So those might have just been nerve responses. So, the victim of the guillotine. The victim of the guillotine would actually be put on the bench. The bench, I'm not going to take this apart, but the bench actually slides off and onto the side. You're placed upon that, and the whole bench and you gets pushed onto the guillotine here with the headstock open. Now the headstock is then placed around your neck, holding you in. The guillotine blade itself is pulled to a certain point at the top. Some of them had triggers, which would have been nothing more than a bolt or a pin coming out of the wood and a board basically holding it up, and you pull that down and it slides over it and lets the blade fall. Most of the early ones during the Revolution were like this. They were just, you pull the rope up, let it go, and it falls. So, the guillotine itself went out of use pretty much during the period of Napoleon for the French. After the Revolution, it was just used as a judicial method of execution.
Hi, everyone. My name is Cindy. I am a member of the 353rd Infantry Division. This is actually the medical section of the 353rd. I am a DRK, and I joined the unit to actually do DRK with the medical side of the unit. As you can see, we have a lot of display of what would be actually around. We would not actually be on the battlefield. We would be near the camp or at the camp, set up for any problems that when the men would come back or come back from fighting and they'd pull back, that we would actually handle all of the injuries that would be coming in with the supplies and items that we have. We have our man Fritz actually sitting, or excuse me, laying on our medical table. He's actually hooked up to the gas. He's probably got some bullets in him, so we're going to probably remove those bullets and make sure that he can live to see another day. And Doctor is standing right over here. We're trying to fix Doctor's typewriter. As a typewriter would be used, it'd always be a field table set up so that they can actually make sure that all of the medical information on the soldiers or soldats would be typed up and would be able to identify what's wrong with the soldier or what's going to happen to the soldier and if they had to be transported. I'm actually wearing what is known as either a stepping out uniform or the actual German Red Cross civilian dress, and basically it consists of a jacket, which I do not have on right now, but it will have the area where I was actually, it's on this side, the area I actually have been stationed at or trained, and then basically too, it also shows that I have my bread bag, which would have a limited of medical supplies in it, so that I could actually suture or do something I needed to do, if it's band-aids or there'd be sulfur or something I could carry to aid the doctor if I am needed. Generally, we wear dresses, but we'll have dresses on tomorrow, which would be the actual standard DRK uniform. The standard DRK uniforms were actually not made very properly in the sense of going out and doing this kind of work. They were a huge propaganda spin. It was one of the Hitler Youth organizations that the German actually decided, the National Nazi Party decided that they would actually take charge or own the Red Cross. So the rest of the world had actually cut them off, and basically then the Germans controlled their own Red Cross. They put the girls in the dresses with the aprons because it looked really good, and it was very attractive to young women to join the Red Cross so that they could actually be with the soldiers, and it was supposed to be a morale booster. But it wasn't very pleasant when they actually came to scenes like this and saw people like Fritz and men screaming and crying and on the table and blood gushing everywhere. So it wasn't a very nice thing.